Good morning. Thank you for joining me. I guess I'm going to attempt again to talk about the hot topic of hot topics right now, racism. Feminism and other issues like that are, I think, very connected to this, mainly because of the nature of the movement, which is opposing, is set itself so opposite racism. So far as to say, one leader amongst the deep folds of the anti-racist movement have said there's you're either racist or anti-racist. There's no middle ground. There's no neutrality here. In a certain degree, I'm like, yeah, that's absolutely right. We need to squash this crap out, right? It's stupid to have this racist underbelly existing in our country. However, things are always more complicated than we would wish, or could wish, or do wish. And if we do not recognize the complexity, we are doomed to enable the thing we least want to exist in the world. How so? Well, the problem is that there are many factors involved in the continuation of racism. There are many versions of racism, like many things motivating racism. There is the person whose life is super crappy and wants to blame somebody. Then they feel better about their life, and they have something they can orient towards and fight. Right? Rather than orient towards the demon within, they demonize someone else. There is also the impoverished person who is experiencing prejudice and in the same way blames their poverty not on, and this is really hard. I don't even know if this is fruitful to talk about, but it is a category. It is something that exists. Maybe in 10% of the underprivileged, maybe in all of them. We need to use science and not our emotions to figure that out. And if you're against science, I don't know what to tell you. If you're watching this video, you are for science, because only science was able to produce the technology needed to watch this video. Can science be used in a racist way? Well, data can be used in a racist way, but even if data, I don't think this is true, but let's say science actually could prove that black people are completely inadequate in every way and are incapable of doing anything without the help of white people. You know, that white people are a super race. Even if that could be proven true, that does not mean that the moral right thing to do is to oppress them and demonize them. That's actually the last thing we would do. We would actually help them, right? We would be like, oh gosh, they need help. Let's help them. So science is not the enemy. Deconstruction and critical theory and these ways of seeing the world in binaries and deconstructing those binaries, all of them, unfortunately, that process, even though, I heard a talk about it recently, which was interesting but also disturbing to me. On the one hand, the guy had a lot of good evidence. He was able to kind of cite books he believed told the explanation for where critical theory came from and how it's basically postmodernism and how certain people were warning us that postmodernism was coming. What I thought was unhelpful is that he believed returning to some kind of objective truth is the way. And the problem is that while some truths are objective, they're not all objective. Some are subjective. That doesn't mean they're not true, though. That means they are subject to a subject, a person. They are a person's truth. And there's a reality to that. It's not a general truth. Science studies the generalities of the universe and of people. It's all it can do. All it can do is give you this hazy, this image that has been snapped over time. Here, there, under very rigorously controlled circumstances, and then you just put those pictures together and you get this kind of blurry generalization. That's what science does. What the human mind does amongst that, I mean, there's a certain degree to which the mind can do that, although science is the externalized, refined process of doing that. But what the human mind is also capable of is what I call the analogical, or the pattern of patterns. So we are pattern recognition creatures, recognizing patterns in behavior and in substance out in the world, but we also recognize the patterns within those patterns, and that's where we get archetypes, and that's where we get stories, these archetypical stories that resonate with almost everyone, right? And one way these things can emerge, I mean, some people are just gifted in observing what people want and then reflecting that in their art. Another way to do it is to let the art evolve over time, like a fairy tale, like some religions, maybe all religions. I'm religious, so I hesitate there, but that's okay. I'm comfortable saying that my theism, my Christianity, my Christianity evolved over time. I just emphasize that to emphasize what part of Christianity I'm about. Not the structures and the rules, but in the person of Christ. Anyway, so that was pretty good. I've been trying to do this video, and I keep getting bogged down in basically my fear of people's reactions, but not a terror kind of fear, not a I'm going to get canceled kind of fear, although I suppose there's a little bit of that, honestly. But honestly, I want people to understand me. I want to connect with them, and I want to synthesize with them to create that which we hold in common. I want to know them. I want to engage with them and befriend them, and really have that relationship working for both of us. I don't see critical theory doing that. I see critical theory doing the opposite of that. And if they like you, you are their avatar rather than your friend. You are one of the group. You're an avatar of that group. Whereas I am for studying the individual and discovering the beauty of that individual. And that all people have beauty, and all people have truth, and all people have skill and ability, and all people can better themselves, whatever their starting position is. And the further you can move from your starting point, the greater your accomplishment, right? Not relative to others, but relative to yourself. So that's my opinion. I think it is a good one. Literally good, like capital G good, Aristotelian good, Platonic good. Because if that is not our standard, if we are not, if we are putting everybody into a category, into a box, into some characteristic by which they can be subjugated or terrorized or oppressed through. We're not seeing that person. And that person is not individuating. They are not maximizing their self. They are merely a sheep in a herd. And I think humans are capable of much more than that. That's why it is communityism and the aid and redistribution of wealth among a community rather than communism or socialism where it is the state who controls that. No. It has to be personal. It has to be intrapersonal. People helping people, people connecting with people. The poor person, not a number that gets handouts, but an individual that is loved and is aided on a personal basis and has that human connection. That's the only way that something like communism works. It has to be community. And that's how you end racism as well. That's how you end racism. You connect with people. You make them friends. You fellowship with them. Yeah. All right. Thank you.